G'day, mate. How you going?
Good, Belly. Thanks for having me on.
No, mate. Thanks for coming.
You got a pair of yellow sunnies for me as well?
I knew you were going to say that. As soon as I saw you out there, I'm like, he's going to say something about the sunnies.
Yeah, I love the sunnies. Yeah, I've gone with you with the shaved head. Feels like I'm looking in the mirror, but I just need
You're halfway there.
I've let go of the reins. I've had a bit of an average haircut for a while, and I thought it's time to just let go and go with a shaved head.
A mate of mine, actually, a good mate of mine, just had a hair transplant.
Did he go to Turkey?
No, he did it at, plug here, Hair Transplant Melbourne.
Okay.
And it looks phenomenal.
It looks
great.
You have to show me some pictures.
Mate, it's literally 15 days after the hair's coming through. It looks amazing. I won't mention his name.
Yeah.
But tip top.
Because Turkey's apparently the place to go. I've had a few teammates mention get over to Turkey in the off season.
Yeah.
So maybe I should do a trip to Mykonos and then get to Turkey and sort the hair out.
It's it too. Mate, just quickly, how's the injury coming along?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I've had a foot injury that's sort of kept me out for a fair while. Missed most of last season with that.
Yeah.
And most of the preseason with that. I got some good training in, I was just getting close to playing again and just had a little setback on my right ankle, so my other ankle, which isn't anything to be concerned about. So I'm getting pretty close.
How many injuries have you had over the years?
Well, it'd be hard to name the number of injuries. The biggest injury would definitely be when I broke my leg in 2019. I snapped my tib fib.
How'd you do that?
I did it at training. So it was the first session back for 2019.
Yeah.
Come off pretty good season in 2018, which was, some of my best football I think that I've played. First session of 2019 at training, just a big collision in a handball game, and looked down, my leg was in some pretty ordinary shape. It was sort of in half facing.
Just a bone hanging out.
Yeah, in half facing the wrong way, dangling. And I remember the reaction of everyone just sort of fleeing the scene. The physio got to me, his first reaction was, oh, shit. So I was like, oh, this isn't good. And then straight to hospital surgery that night. So I was out for a fair period after that.
Do you think some people are more injury prone than others? And the reason I asked this question, I met a footy player last week at my daughter's birthday party, and he played for Melbourne and hadn't been injured once in 22 years. Do you think some players are generally more injury prone than others?
Yeah, probably. But I think there's also an element of luck. I think some of those collision-based injuries, if you put yourself in that situation, are hard to avoid.
Yeah.
I think some players are probably pretty smart and they know how to potentially maneuver around those situations, but some are completely hard to avoid. So I think collision-based injuries, are unavoidable. But in terms of injuries such as soft tissues and other issues like that, I think, guys are more injury prone than others.
Yeah, definitely. The reason I asked that question as well, I've had 4 knee recos, so I'm quite injury prone.
Wow.
Did a genetic test and they said I don't process collagen correctly. So I need more collagen, otherwise I'm going to get more injured frequently.
Yeah.
So,
are they all in the same knee?
No, two in the left, 2 in the right.
At least you're even.
And 7 arthroscopes.
Wow.
Mate, it's just, as you know, injuries are just the worst.
They are. They're debilitating. And surgeries, as much as you can avoid them, you want to avoid them because, things off the back of surgeries, whether it be scar tissue or the next injury off the back of that, my learning has been avoid surgery as much as you can.
Agreed. I find surgeries tend to make the issue worse most of the time, I found. What's your protocol for rehabilitation? So you've injured your leg, your foot. How do you resolve it faster than normal?
Yeah, I think every recovery is a little bit different depending on what you've done. I think there's a holistic approach, which I listened to your pod with Harry Sheasel. What a gunner he is.
He's a weapon.
Pretty impressive to hear those things from such a young guy with how professional he is.
Yeah.
So I think there's a holistic approach, which I naturally do and live every day. And sounds like you're pretty big on that as well. So we can talk a little bit about that. And then I think there's things specific to the actual injury. So I can probably talk about my most recent injury.
If you don't mind, please. Love to know.
I guess from a holistic point of view, the basics of diet, sleep, routine.
What's your diet consist of?
So it's transformed, I would say. I just live by the basics, basically. I generally know what's good and bad. I think most people do.
Yeah.
And from there, I've probably channeled it and refined it even further. I saw a clip on you the other day talking about fasting. So on my low training days now, I'll fast till midday.
Okay. So you do the intermittent fast?
Yep.
On how many days a week?
Yeah, probably have 2 lighter training days a week. So on those days. And then I guess on my training days, it'll be I'll get up, make an omelette and have a banana. Lunch, normally like a chicken salad or something like that. And then dinner varies. I eat a fair bit of fish, salmon. I've got a contact in the lamb industry actually as well. So he sends me over quite a bit of lamb, lean meat, lamb back straps and things. So
get onto the venison. I've just started eating venison.
Okay. Well,
yeah, lean meat, very healthy. A little bit harder to get.
Kangaroo also very lean.
Amazing as well.
Yeah. So I sort of live by the basics, and then normally, say if we have a game on a Saturday, Sunday will be a day where I just sort of let myself eat whatever I want, and then Monday to game day, lock in again, keep myself sane. So that's probably what I do with diet. There is more specifics to that, but it's, how deep down the rabbit hole do you want to go? I can go as far as you want.
Do you take supplements being obviously an elite athlete and an AFL player, or you can't take supplements? Yeah,
we have to be aware of what we take. So things need to be batch tested, approved by WADA. So if you take something that is banned by WADA and you get tested, that's how you get a ban. 2 to 4 years it can be. I take fish oil and I take collagen.
Yep.
They're probably the main two I take. I've taken a few things in recent time from our dietitian for joint health. But yeah, they're the two mainstays.
Okay.
Yeah.
I read a book recently
and magnesium as well. Sorry, probably 2 hours before bed, I'll take magnesium.
Yeah, essential.
Yeah.
I read a book recently called The Cure, and it basically says the body is made up of minerals and energy and frequency, blah, blah, blah. You need magnesium. Mm-hmm. You need copper, which regulates iron, and iron's basically the devil. And you need to cut out any synthetic vitamins like vitamin D, ascorbic acid, and so on. Mm-hmm. So you just stick to the basics. Mm. And when you have fish oil, have cod liver oil because it's vitamin A and vitamin D in cod liver oil. Mm. So I'm reading this book at the moment. I'm doing the 4-week protocol.
Yep.
And how do I know if it's going to work? See how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously do some blood work.
Yeah, you need to give it a decent sample size, don't you, to feel the benefit. You can't sort of trial something for a week and be like, I'm not feeling it. Mm. I assume that's what you're doing, is giving it a good sample size and then comparing to how you were prior.
Yeah, correct. Do you do things like hyperbaric chambers, anything like that as well?
Yeah, so back to the holistic thing, I guess the diet, sleep, the routine with sleep, like I probably, even on training days as well, I'll schedule a nap between 1 and 3 for no longer than 45 minutes.
You have a nap in the afternoon?
Yeah, definitely. I feel recharged to go again for a next training block.
If I do that, I'm dead.
Really? Yeah, everyone's a bit different, aren't
they? Yeah.
Yeah, I try and get in the ocean as much as I can as well.
Yeah, nice.
I'm big on grounding. That's a bit of a different one. But every time I walk the dog, I'll never take my phone with me. It's sort of my time to get in nature. And I'll always take my shoes off, walk just in grass.
Best.
And that sounds a bit funny.
No, it's
there
the
are
best.
Proven benefits with it.
Yeah.
So I sort of try and find a little 1%er just in everything I do. I guess when I wake up first thing in the morning, what I always did previously was go straight on my phone. Now I do my meditation. It's the first thing I do, my 10 minutes in the morning. And then I avoid my phone as long as I can. So I'll get ready.
What type of meditation do you do?
I've been using the Calm app recently.
Oh, yeah.
There's a new 10-minute, which works well for me at the moment. 10-minute, her name's Tamara Lovett. She posts a new 10-minute meditation on a new topic every morning. So I'm doing more guided meditation at the moment. Mm. And I've just created the routine. I said once I got re-injured with my foot, I had a stress injury. What can I do during this time to find an edge somewhere else? I'm going to do something in the mental space. So I haven't missed a day since pretty much December 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
I said I was going to meditate every morning, and then now I wake up, I've got an Oura ring. First thing I do is check my stats. I'm like, this is actually the worst thing you can do. Yeah. Because if your stats aren't perfect, you start getting anxiety and start stressing out about it. What I should be doing is actually doing meditation, doing some breath work, and then starting my day.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even with data, one thing I've learned, I was very data-driven and numbers and proof, but sometimes I found with anything, sometimes I can get too consumed in data.
Correct.
When I go to the way of just like, I know this is good for me, I know this is bad for me, and not get too consumed in the specifics. Sometimes it's good to do that, but I found with my personality, I've got a bit of OCD that
same.
I get too ingrained in
the worst.
In the nitty gritty rather than just the holistic, I know this is good for me, I'm just going to do it.
So you do the meditation in the morning, and then do you train and then do you have breakfast? Yeah,
depending on if it's a training day. So if it's a big training day, I'll have breakfast, which is normally an omelette, or I'll have muesli and berries. And then, I journal a lot.
Good journal as well.
Yeah, every night. My journal sits next to my bed. I do that every night before bed. The next thing I want to integrate, I need to get better at reading, and because it does help sleep, but just learning and things like that. So I've just finished my first book for a little while, but Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. Really liked that. He's got some really good podcasts as well.
Great podcasts.
Yeah, you get some of the best guests, apart from yourself, obviously.
They say journaling, you should outline what you're going to do tomorrow so you don't think about it before you go to bed, and what you've done today.
Yeah.
And then apparently if you do that, it helps release some emotions and some stress, and then you can sleep a lot easier.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes,
I don't journal, but I probably should.
Yeah, I do it. It's become, I guess, with a habit as well. I think they say it takes 21 days to build a habit.
On the laptop, or do you actually do it actually handwrite?
Pen and pad, yeah.
Oh.
So that's been something I've been doing for at least a couple of years. And I wouldn't miss a night on that. I'll take it with me every away trip, everywhere I go. So yeah, there's some things I do. And what I'd write in the journal, it's, gratitude is a big one that's spoken about. So the 3 things I'm grateful for, I'll reflect on, like you say, plan the next day. So I know what I'm doing, so I don't sort of thinking. Something that's pretty unique that I do as well is I give myself a score for mood, diet and sleep out of 10 every day. And it's just something I track.
What do you mean? So today I had a great diet, so I give myself a 9 out of 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
but doesn't that give you stress? Because if you have a poor diet that day, will it give you a bit of anxiety? Go, shit, I can do better than this?
Yeah, but it's more if there's a pattern with either of those that are trending in the wrong direction, that it's something I'll just take a look at just to be like, okay.
That's great.
If it's sleep, for example.
I like that.
If that's going down, okay, what could that possibly be? Is there something I can address, whether it be with our club psych or in what I'm doing, if I've got stress in my life, or something that I can go back and see if it correlates. It's different. I just created that myself, but it's something I've just done. Yeah.
And how's your scores at the moment?
I would say pretty consistent. Yeah. Pretty consistent. And I guess it's been a tough period, to be honest, because I've been injured for almost 12 months and I've dedicated so much hard work, especially this last 6 months, to do everything right, not leave any stone unturned, and I'm not getting the benefit of the result. And I know that has to come soon because I'm literally doing everything I possibly can. But yeah, it's been a challenging period because you're doing all these things and it just doesn't make sense. But just a reminder, I've got to stay on top of the things I can control and hope for the outcome soon.
Do you ever feel depressed knowing that you've been injured for such a long time and you just want to get back to playing footy? Or do you just go, it is what it is, got to deal with it and just got to keep pushing forward?
I think if it was a one-off event, that would be the approach. But this patch has really tested my resilience. Last year I'm trying to think the amount of setbacks. So I had appendicitis last year. And
appendicitis?
Then, like my appendix.
Yeah. I had that as
went
a
into
kid.
hospital. I wanted to get back to play, so I was like, I'm just going to take the medication. Anyway, then my appendix almost exploded, so I had surgery for that.
Shit.
Then I had the plantar fasciitis in my foot. Couldn't get on top of that, so I got the surgery, did all that, come back, feeling fit, leanest, fittest I've ever been. Then I got a stressy in my foot. I'm like, fuck. How many more setbacks can I do?
How did you get a stress fracture in your foot? How did that happen?
Off the back of the plantar fascia, you're sort of slightly more at risk to get something off the back of that. Back to our chat about avoiding surgeries if you can, but I couldn't do anything for probably close to 6 months. I just couldn't get going. So I'm like, I need to do something. And the team was looking last year like making finals. Didn't end up making it, but I was like, that's what you want to be a part of. So I sort of had to make the call.
Yeah.
And then I've just had this right ankle flare up. So it's sort of, rather than, I described it to someone, like when I broke my leg, I knew I was going to be out for, let's just say it was 12 months. I knew the rehab I needed to do. That's the timeline. Okay, that's the end goal. That's where I'm going to get back to play. This has sort of been one thing after the other. It's just like.
Yeah. Especially when it's your career.
Yeah.
And this is your livelihood. Being injured, it must feel debilitating at times.
It's tough. When you dedicate so much, like people wouldn't even know the amount of time. I guess like with yourself in business and things, how much time you really dedicate when it's your profession and what you love. It's not just what's seen at the club on training days. It's the thousands of hours of unseen work that when you don't get rewarded for that and you're putting in countless hours, you're just like, feel helpless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And aside from great diet, great sleep, do you do any of the extra activities such as hyperbaric chambers, cold therapy, saunas to help the recovery?
Yeah. So I'm big on the sauna. I feel like they've gone a bit crazy the last little while, the saunas. Saunas and ice baths. So I've just got one for my home with Revel saunas. So that's arriving in a week or two. Yeah, thanks, Revel. And Yeah, at the club we have a sauna. We've got a hyperbaric, so I'll do that.
How do you find hyperbaric chambers?
To be honest, I personally don't find the benefit. I don't feel the benefit. I don't feel any different.
Interesting.
But there is science around it, same as cryo.
Yeah, I just bought one for my house. It hasn't arrived yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the science is there.
Yeah.
The research is there, but yeah.
Do you feel different?
I haven't used one consistently yet because you need to use it consistently for
well, there you go.
30 plus days.
Yeah.
To get the
every
benefit.
day.
Every day.
Okay. Well, yeah, I haven't done that.
Yeah.
But it is good in those hyperbarics because you can, I assume for you as well, you can listen to a podcast, you can read, you can write.
Have a laptop, do some
you can
work.
do whatever you want in there. So it's almost a quiet time space. So you can do it. Why wouldn't you do it?
So you do the saunas, ice baths, anything else?
So I do DNS training, which is Dynamic Neuromuscular Stability. So with a guy named Mark McGrath. So when I was at Hawthorn, Mark was working there and he's worked with some world-class athletes, Cadell Evans. But what really got my attention was that Mark was, and you'll hear Chris Judd talk about him. Obviously, everyone knows who Chris Judd is, one of the GOATs. When Juddy come from West Coast to Carlton, couldn't get his body right again, wanted to avoid the surgery route, Mark actually fixed him and his groins to get back to play. And then when I got to Hawthorn, Luke Hodge worked with Mark every day. I'm like, there's something, this guy's doing something.
Yeah, what is it?
It's hard to, if you saw it from, I guess, an untrained eye, you would think it's yoga and body postures and things, but it's much more than that. It goes back to the form of how a baby moves when it's first.
So is it movement training to a degree?
Yeah, it's a movement efficiency. And Paddy Cripps is really big into it now. A lot of the Carlton guys are into it with Robbie, who's working at Carlton in the DNS space. So more and more AFL athletes are catching on to it. I know Novak Djokovic is huge on it. So you'd have to read about it. It's sort of hard to give a summary.
Yeah.
DNS is what I do. I do it every day, but I see Mark once a week and I have for the last 6 years.
I want to try this now because I've got bad knees I want to resolve.
It's perfect for that.
Yeah. Is it like, have you seen a knees over toes guy? And he does training where basically he strengthens your knees by certain exercise. It could be walking backwards, for example, or standing on one leg and picking something from the ground and then moving from side to side. Is it similar to that type of movement?
I haven't seen exactly what you're talking about, but I guess it's all about equilibrium and, if you've got a sore knee, for example, the issue isn't as much your knee. It's like, okay, where in the chain is something not working how it should? It's a holistic view of the body rather than looking at a specific, you've got a sore knee. Let's look at your knee. You'll look at your whole movement chain and where there's things that aren't working how they should and how that works down the chain.
The spine.
Yeah, everything.
Interesting. So basically, instead of injecting stem cells into your knee, he goes, you don't need that. Let's realign your body and see if we can fix the root cause of the issue.
And the posture work is tough. Like it's not easy. Like, but there's also, he'll correct you if you're 1 centimeter out with a foot position or a toe position or anything. He'll correct you and be like, "No, it's very specific."
And how often do you do this? Every day, was it?
Or I do my own practice every day.
How long's each session for?
Varies each day depending on how much time I have, but I do minimum half an hour to an hour every day.
I'm going to start doing this now.
But I see Mark, because when you get the feedback from a coach who can actually see and, it's hard to sometimes see you when you don't have someone to correct you who's an expert. Yeah. So I see him religiously once a week.
And what benefits have you seen from this type of training?
Just...
Do you feel better generally?
If you do it, you'll just move better.
I'm definitely going to do it.
You'll enjoy, it sounds funny, you'll enjoy walking, you'll love running. It's just, you'll feel good. You feel good in your body.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And when do you plan on going back to playing footy?
Well, hopefully as soon as I can.
You think next week or two?
Not in the next week or two. I would say a month or two. I'm sort of in a position now where I've missed this portion of footy where I'm like, okay, I'd rather tick every single box and come back to perform, not just to play. I don't want to come back and just be ready to play. Like I want to, if I have to, throw an extra few weeks of training on so that I'm back to perform, if that makes sense.
When you take a step back to when you're a kid, obviously your diet wasn't perfect, your training wasn't perfect, but what do you think made you become an elite athlete? Like what was it as a kid that just kind of gave you that edge compared to other kids? And the reason I ask this question, for all the young kids and young girls out there who want to become elite athletes, what do they need to do to become a professional athlete?
I think it's in the mindset that separates.
Yeah.
Like I can see it in, say, Nick Dacos coming to the club. Everyone looks at his footballing ability, but it's his attitude and his mindset and his willingness to go a step further than anyone else. Harry Sheasel seems like he's cut from the same cloth. You know, I don't think I was as talented as either of those two, but I think my mindset to outwork.
Do you think it's work ethic? Do you think?
Yeah, work ethic.
Do you think it's genetics as well?
Maybe. Yeah, like I was pretty lucky. My dad played AFL, so I was probably pretty well educated on the game. Like I grew up in AFL footy clubs at Carlton. Like my dad was a coach when I was going through the ranks. So I was always observing, watching, and I guess, natural. I've got a bit of natural intuition and
you can read
good game awareness and all those sorts of things as well. Which whether that's innate or whether that was observation, I'm not sure, but that's probably been one of my strengths over my career.
And when you were younger, were you training every day or sporadically? Like what was it? Aside from obviously natural intuition, genetics, mindset, how about work ethic? Yeah,
work ethic was, I guess, so my dad was a player and he was renowned for being one of the hardest workers, one of the fittest.
Was it pressure on you as a kid?
No pressure, but I always knew that was what I wanted to do. So I was always watching him train, do more. Even when he was finished playing, my mum was the same. And so, I guess I never really saw them much with a drink in their hand either. So I guess my upbringing was all about being an athlete, really. Like it was just that was the role models that I had. And I always loved having a ball in my hands from when I was 2 years old or as early as I could. And I just loved playing sport, different sports. Yeah, some of my best memories and just loved doing it. It didn't seem like a chore because I always wanted to do more. And in some ways, it might have shot myself in the foot because I have probably had a lot of injuries over my time, whether when I was younger or in my AFL career, because I've probably always overshot and pushed too hard. Yeah. So it's been my biggest learning is to do less. It's harder to do less.
Yeah. I think that's why I got injured so much. I was training when I was injured. I'm like, nah, if I can push, I'll push through it. I'll do more. I just made the issue worse.
Yeah.
As a kid, I wanted to be a professional golfer, and then I realized I didn't have the talent. Simple as that. I was a good golfer, but I wasn't great.
Would handicap get to 0?
Yeah. But they're a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on 0 out there.
Yeah.
To be great, you needed that obviously natural ability, but also, as you mentioned, mindset.
Yeah.
I didn't have the mindset. I would have fear that I was going to stuff up a shot, and that definitely held me back in life.
Really?
Yeah. So, anyways, that's my little story.
No, that's cool.
As a young kid, who was your favourite player? Who did you look up to?
When I was really young, I was a Carlton supporter. It was Anthony Koutafidis.
Oh, yeah.
So
he was an absolute weapon.
He would have torn. We were talking about the 99 prelim before we did the pod, remember? He tore that game up.
Yeah.
That's one of my earliest memories of footy. And then as I progressed, I was a Carlton fan growing up. When you get closer to being drafted, you more look at players and guys you want to emulate or guys you admire. Gary Ablett Jr. was my favourite player, and I think he's the best player that's ever played.
Ever?
Has to be.
That is controversial.
We got a few nods out there. We've got 2 nods. Two nods. You're outnumbered.
Gary Ablett Jr., the best player ever.
Who have you got?
For me, it'd have to be Wayne Carey.
Yep.
He was incredible.
Yeah. I guess you're biased towards your own era, aren't you? Like I missed that era of footy with Gary Ablett Sr., Wayne Carey. I grew up in the Gary Ablett, Chris Judd era, so you're always going to be,
Yeah, but, whether you love him or hate him, he was an absolute unbelievable player.
Yeah.
So you think Gary Ablett Jr. was the best player ever? And who do you think is the best player in the league right now?
Well, I see Nick Dacos train every day. I'd say Nick, yeah.
Dacos, who do you guys think?
Nick Dacos. It could be Sam Darcy soon.
Yeah, no, good point. He was pretty freakish on the weekend. He can do things guys can't do. Yeah, Nick could be the best ever when it's all said and done, but who knows? Let's wait and see.
I think Sheasel's a chance down the track.
Pretty good too, isn't he?
He is. And mate, lastly, obviously you're a full-time footy player. Do you have a side gig? And what's on for you after footy? What's the plan?
Yeah, so I have a business called Ball Magnets with Paddy Cripps and Lockie Neal.
Yeah, saw that.
Some pretty handy players. And then Josh Giddey in the NBA, he's with Ball Magnets as well. So Yeah, it's something we're really passionate about. We create training programs through our website for aspiring athletes. We try and make our programs more advanced rather than, the monotonous basic skills. We try and take you into our minds with things around game awareness, the real specifics, where we think people can get an edge, because we think the basic education's been done.
Yep.
It's taking you to how the best athletes are thinking to get their edge and what they're training and what they're looking at. So we do a podcast, a Ball Magnets podcast, training programs. Yeah, we do merchandise. It's just a bit of fun, but it's more around the content.
And does the AFL give you training in business? Like, do they give you education around, okay, your career is X amount of time. After that, we want to educate you in finance and how to run a company. Do they give you?
So it's encouraged to do something outside of footy, and there's so many options. So these days, players are pretty well catered for. If you want to do an apprenticeship, if you want to get into finance, business, there's a course pretty much for every path you want to take. So it comes down to the individual driving that of what you want to do, which I think players can still get better at that. Yeah. I was guilty of it. I put all my eggs in the footy basket.
Yeah, but
broke my leg, and I was like, shit, what do I do now? So I've sort of found what I'm passionate about, and that's been great, this injury, because I've had balance. Footy isn't going great, but I've got, business on the side to keep building, and something I really enjoy.
So, mate, what are your fondest memories of playing AFL?
Well, the one that stands out is 2023. That's the most special day ever. Like, you can't even describe the feeling of when the siren goes. It's genuine euphoria. I haven't felt anything like it. So that's the reason I'm playing still, is to feel that again. I remember just being physically exhausted more than any other game in my life, like literally emptying the tank right to the last second. That was the most physically tough game. It was hot that day. I just remember being so sick after the game. Like, you're trying to celebrate, but you're just so sick, just trying to get water and different things
I'm sure you celebrated after.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Exactly. But that's the obvious one. It's what you play footy for.
And aside from the AFL Premiership, how about the Brownlow? You can't forget that.
Yeah. That was a special night too. It was a funny night actually as well, because I remember as the count got towards the end, I was leading, and what they do between the telecast breaks is they close the doors. So if you go out to the toilet or whatever, and if you come back, the doors are closed. You can't go in. So
really? Okay, so you don't know who's going to win if you're outside because of all the doors
when you
closed.
watch on TV, if you watch on TV, there's never normally people walking around. Everyone's sat at the table. They don't want people walking around for the optics of how that looks.
Got you.
So it was getting close. There might have been one round to go. I was getting nervous because I was busted. Yeah, I was busting. I was like, well, I've got to, probably do a speech in about 10 minutes. And so I quickly went out, went to the toilet, went to come back in. The security guards, mate, you're not coming back in.
So good.
Oh, no. And then took a while, and then they're like, he needs to get in. Like, he's about to win. He needs to talk. And then the guy wouldn't budge. He's like, mate, we're not letting anyone in.
Rules are rules.
Rules are rules. I was like, I kind of respect you doing your job. But then they rushed me to the table. All the cameras were there. I reckon I got there with maybe 30 seconds to spare when they were about to announce it, and I wouldn't have been at the table. So it was almost a missed, I would have missed being announced, but they got me through and got there. And then, that night was a pretty good night. They gave you it.
Would have been pretty funny if you actually weren't at your chair.
I know.
Yeah, they looked over and like, the chair's empty.
Yeah, we'll give it to the runner-up, stiff. And then, the night we spent the night at Crown, and they actually, have you ever stayed at one of those crystal villas or been in one of those crystal villas? They gave us one of them for the night. Yeah, so I'm not sure what that's worth a night, but they say that it's where all the tennis stars and celebs stay. So I felt like a celeb for a night.
Probably 10K a night.
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah. But they gave us one of them for the night, which was pretty cool. So you could feel special for a night and then back to reality the next day.
How do you think Collingwood is tracking this year?
I think we've made a good start. I think it was a shaky first up game against the Giants. That was well documented, but we responded the way we wanted to against Port with a really good win there. That was, some of our best footy. And then every game's close and tight. We had a tough, close win against the Bulldogs, who really came to play. But even if you look across the competition, like I noticed over the weekend, North upset Melbourne, St Kilda upset Geelong. Like, there's no easy games. Every game's tough. If you're not on your A game, you're going to get done. So it's just a reminder that you need to be ready to go every week. But I think 2-1, it's a good start. But we just got to keep sticking to our processes and hopefully, push towards later in the year if we can do that.
So take Collingwood out of the equation. Who would you tip for the premiership this year?
There's some good teams.
Yeah. Say top two.
Yeah, Brisbane. I'll say, can I give you 4?
Yeah, give me 4, please.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Brisbane. There's always going to be a team that shoots up as well. I think Brisbane and Giants have really proved themselves the last few years. And I think if you're always in contention consistently, just give yourself a chance. You're always around the top 4 mark. Hawthorn are obviously really gone to another level this year. Geelong always find a way. Adelaide have shot up. Like, who knows? I don't know.
What about Essendon?
You're a Dons man?
Oh, mate, 20 years in oblivion.
Yeah.
So we'll have our day in another 10 years from now.
Zach Merritt's game is pretty special. That's one positive.
Yeah.
In the weekend.
Still, it'd be nice to win a premiership.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Awesome, mate. Well, mate, thanks for your time. And yeah, great to have you on board.
Thanks, Belly.
Cheers, mate.